Hi there, hello, my name is Kira, I'm your average Genshin Impact player, and it's relevant now. So, should you or should you not pull for Cyno? So, first of all, this is always just my opinion, and you can always ignore my opinion. In fact, you should ignore people's opinions on the internet all the time, in my opinion. And secondly, if pulling for Cyno is going to make you happy, then you absolutely should. This is mostly for people who are, might have some big hang-ups and are wondering, do my hang-ups matter that much? I'm trying to give a honest idea as a Cyno main, what things about him might throw people off and make them regret pulling for him. Because I don't want people to regret pulling for my favorite character, So, just honestly, here are some ways that you might not want to pull for Cyno. First of all, he is a greedy DPS. His burst is 18 seconds of electro damage that cannot be overridden. It's similar to Ito when Ito goes into his burst, and it's geo damage that cannot be overridden. And you cannot leave the field because then you lose it. It's not transferable the way that other bursts can be. It's just you just lose it. So basically, if you have this 18-second burst that you have to, first of all, survive, because you want him to survive the burst, but you also want him to be able to stay on the field for the full 18 seconds to be doing that damage, then you're going to need healers, you're going to need shielders, you're going to need to be able to build a team around Cyno so that you can support that 18-second burst. And then Cyno will probably spend the majority of his time on your screen. Like, I think 85% of my time has Cyno on screen, and then the other 15%, if that, is the other characters that I cycle through quickly in order to do his buffing or supports or whatever. So if that's not the kind of character that you enjoy playing, then I would reconsider pulling for Cyno, because he will take up most of your screen time. He does require the team to support him, and his burst is really, really long, and he has to be on the field for it. So if you don't like Ito, I had someone in co-op compare Cyno to Zhao. So if you don't like Ito, if you don't like Zhao, if you don't like those characters where you really have to make sure that the team is able to support them in their hour of need, then Cyno just might not be for you. The second thing is that Cyno has kind of a funky build. He's not... I said this when Venti was out. Venti is kind of minimum input, maximum output sort of character at this point, because we have all of his materials, basically, and he's also just straight up attack. He's very easy to understand. Cyno has some weirdness to him that makes him not so easy to understand. So, really, he is based off of attack and attack percentage. His burst is just his normal attacks. So, attack, crit rate, crit damage, you think that these are important things, right? That's easy, we can do that. Except then he throws in this thing called Authority over the 9 Bows, where his damage values are increased based on his elemental mastery. Which... okay, that's fine. Like, I mean, we've dealt with that before. Like, El Haytham's, this is his attack and elemental mastery are combined for his skills. But with Cyno, you just all the time have this kind of interesting little thing, the Authority over the 9 Bows, that makes his elemental mastery important. And if you get his signature weapon, then it's important again, because elemental mastery buffs his attack if you have a signature weapon. So you end up with this issue. And I think that this issue is what made Cyno a regretted character. Because, he was super hyped up. He was the Feist character for Sumeru, and then he dropped, and this thing in his kit made him a little odd, and I think that some mistakes were made in people recommending certain artifact sets and stuff, and so he didn't become like this huge, electro damage monster that people had thought that he could become. And then it was just like, well, he's bad. Let's toss him in the back and never use him again. It's completely untrue. Cyno just... I think that as we've had Cyno longer, we've kind of realized that certain artifact sets are better for him than the ones that were being recommended at the time. I think that just, as I've talked with other Cyno mains and stuff, I think we've kind of come to our own conclusions about how to deal with the elemental mastery thing versus the attack thing. There were simply some mistakes, I think, that people made in building Cyno in the early days. And you know what? It took me a while before I realized that, I think I want to, switch stuff around and figure out my own way of building him, because I don't like how he is. And then it turned out when I stopped listening to what people had told me to do, I ended up being a lot happier. So, anyway, just because of that strangeness in his kit, it means that you do either need to use the team in order to help with that discrepancy, or you need to get very, very good artifacts. And if you aren't willing to either, change your team up to help with that elemental mastery requirement, or if you aren't willing to put in the resin to get the right artifacts, then you're gonna have a hard time. And if you try to do both at once, I think you're gonna have a hard time with that too, because it's like you can either throw yourself behind the attack, or you can throw yourself behind the elemental mastery. But if you try to throw yourself behind both at once, you'll just hit mid-tier on both of them, and your Cyno will not come out how you wanted him to. Cyno is not a minimum input, maximum output sort of character. He is you get what you put into him sort of character. So if you don't like that kind of character that, needs some work, needs fine-tuning, needs to be looked after, then you probably will not enjoy Cyno. Now, like I said, it's very rewarding for me, because you get out of what you put into him. So it's like when I'm able to run around and do really nice, damage, or do well in the abyss, then it feels great, because it's like I feel like I earned it. I feel like I built this team, an alpha team, and it feels great, but that's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, so fully recognize that. Just fully recognize that. He is very much you get out what you put into him. So, those are my two main reasons that people would not like Cyno. It's the greedy DPS thing, and this weirdness in his kit that makes it so that you really do have to put effort into him. He is not someone that you can just slap on your favorite team and he'll just fit right in there. He's more of a, you take him and then you take everybody else that you have and mesh them around him to see how it works. So, yeah, those are my two big things. If you don't like having to fine-tune a character and really work on them in order to make them the best that they can be, you probably won't like Cyno. And if you don't like greedy DPSs, then you probably won't like Cyno. Maybe you will. I completely changed my way of playing because I got Cyno. I got him because I really loved his character. I loved him from the webcomic, and then, I just continued to love him a lot. So I changed the way that I played. I wasn't into greedy DPSs, but now I main one. And I didn't get the idea of building a team around a character, or even like looking at artifact substats. I really didn't look at stats with artifacts at all. I just looked at the effects of the artifacts and just kind of went with it. But then I started playing Cyno and realized that, oh, these can actually really matter. And so it changed the way that I am as a player, you know, made me more aware of stuff like substats and team composition. It made me much more of a, I don't know, calculating player, I suppose. And it was all just because I loved Cyno and I wanted to make him better. Best he could be. So, you know, I don't think that either of those things, not liking greedy DPSs or not enjoying fine-tuning, those don't have to be, like, don't get Cyno if either of these things. It's just, those are just cautions that I have. These are just facts about the character. He's a greedy DPS, and he's not super straightforward in his kit. Now, to be fair, why do I enjoy Cyno? Why would I encourage getting Cyno? He's so much fun. I love playing him. Okay, so, like, when I said, like, you know, also just getting the benefit out of it, getting what I put into him out as this wonderful abyss level smashing monster. I love it. I love playing him. I love playing him. He's not meta changing, but I'm not sure when that became a requirement to be a good character. When you make YouTube videos, you get some interesting conversations going, and you get people saying, like, he doesn't change the meta, and it's like, meta or whatever, however you pronounce it, you know, it's like, he doesn't change the meta or anything. It's like, you know, characters don't need to change the meta in order to be enjoyable or good. And Cyno already enjoys what, you know, changed with the introduction of Dendro. Electro as a whole just went crazy wild because of what Dendro allows it to do. And so Cyno enjoys that. So, I mean, personally, I like sticking as many characters on the scene as possible that will allow for elemental reactions, because Electro got so buffed by the introduction of Dendro, and Cyno is not a stranger to the amount of extra damage it can help you do to pay attention to the electro reactions, elemental reactions. So, I hope that was a fairly brief assessment. Basically, he's a very greedy DPS and he's a little fiddly. And if you don't like those things, then maybe you shouldn't get Cyno. I still love him. And neither of those things were a deal breaker for me, but they might be for you. So, if they are, then that's fine. Then don't pull for Cyno and save your primos for someone else that you'll enjoy more. And I think that's better for everyone, you know? If you are still pulling for Cyno, then I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you enjoy him. So, thank you. Again, my name is Kira, your average Genshin Impact player. Hope you're doing well wherever and whenever you are. See you later.